The little reindeer was abandoned by its mother right after it was born. At this moment, its body was trembling and it couldn't stand up, driven entirely by the instinct to survive. It desperately tried to get close to its mother, but it was ruthlessly rejected. In the end, the little reindeer could only helplessly watch as its mother's figure slowly disappeared into the distance. A few days earlier, as the winter cold set in, wild reindeer had begun migrating, moving from the mountain tops down to lower areas, in search of more food. But this mother reindeer was about to give birth. Her face was full of worry, because if she left the herd and gave birth in this vast snowy mountain, their chances of survival were almost zero. However, the reindeer mother couldn't wait any longer. She had to leave the herd and find a relatively warm shelter to give birth. After waves of sharp pain from her belly, little Alo was finally born. But he had to learn to stand within 5 minutes, then learn to walk in another 5 minutes, and learn to run in the next 5 minutes. Because the mother faced a difficult choice. If she stayed behind to care for the newborn, she would fall behind the migrating herd, and falling behind could very well mean death. The mother gently encouraged Alo with her warm breath. However, his soft legs caused him to fall into the snow, again and again, failing to meet his mother's heavy expectations. In the end, she made a harsh decision. She turned around and walked away with heavy steps. Following the herd's tracks, she left Alo alone, in this cold and empty place. Even the squirrel witnessing this helpless scene felt sad. After the mother left, an eagle quickly set its eyes on the poor little reindeer, just as it folded its wings and dove toward Alo. The mother's instincts made her turn back and run toward her baby before the eagle's claws could strike. She used her own body to form the final shield for her child. After returning, the mother's attitude toward Alo changed. She began licking his body, feeding him milk, and calming his fear and cold. Under his mother's protection, Alo safely survived his first polar night. In the morning, the mother decided to take Alo to catch up with the herd, because staying here would make them easy targets for predators. So little Alo followed behind her and began the long journey. The cuckoo chick is a master of nest parasitism, born with a cruel instinct, which is to throw all the other eggs out of the nest. But this time its plan was exposed. When the mother bird flew away, the cuckoo saw an opportunity and began executing its mission. What it didn't know was that the mother had set a trap. She quietly returned and observed from the edge of the nest, waiting to catch the intruder. Caught red-handed, the unsuspecting cuckoo spread its tiny wings and used all its strength to push the last unhatched egg toward the edge. Every movement was seen. Just as the egg was about to fall, the angry mother swooped down and pinned the chick in the nest. Realizing it had been caught, the cuckoo quickly pretended nothing had happened, opening its mouth as if begging for food. But this time the mother didn't feed it. Instead, she sat steadily on the remaining eggs to keep them warm. From this moment on, the cuckoo chick might never be fed again, and the red-whiskered bulbul mother's handling method was even more decisive. Ever since she discovered her child had become a cuckoo, she still fed the chick as usual. Because the bird nest was stationed in a vegetable garden, so food was abundant. After feeding for several days, the bird mother brought a small tomato for the cuckoo chick. For the chick, this was definitely a huge challenge. Unsurprisingly, the chick got the tomato stuck in its throat. Would you be willing to let this cuckoo that occupied the red-whiskered bulbul's home survive? A brown bear's shoulder was pierced by a human bullet. It lay powerlessly in the muddy water, trying to ease the pain of the wound, but couldn't help moaning in pain. Not far away, behind the bushes, a brown bear cub that had just lost its mother witnessed this scene, but it didn't dare approach rashly, because in the cruel natural world, adult male bears never show mercy to strange cubs, but kindness ultimately conquered fear. The cub cautiously approached, and imitating what its mother had done when she was alive, licked the brown bear's wound with its warm tongue. This eased the brown bear's suffering. It began responding, licking the cub's face to show gratitude. Having accepted this strange cub, they became companions to each other. But at the same time, a huge crisis lurked. It turned out this brown bear was named Bart. He was injured after falling in a poacher's ambush. Although he managed to escape, the hunters weren't planning to let him go. They had already brought a pack of hunting dogs to track Bart, to make the bullets cause the most lethal damage. The hunters had even ground the bullet heads into cross-shaped openings. Once hitting the target, the flesh would tear instantly. If the shot hit Bart, he definitely couldn't escape like last time. Meanwhile, Bart hadn't yet realized the danger. He was hunting with the cub in the mountain forest. After the meal, they slept together. For the cub, since its mother died, it had been a long time since it felt this warmth. It seemed to return to the days when it had a mother. However, this warm scene didn't last long. Bears have extremely developed sense of smell. They can smell scents within 5 kilometers. Bart soon smelled that disturbing scent again, making him immediately alert. Sure enough, on the other side of the mountain, The hunting dogs had already discovered his trail. The hunters quickened their pace. Bart immediately retreated with the cub to the other side of the mountain. However, the steep slope was a huge challenge for a cub only 4 months old. This slowed down their retreat progress. If Bart were alone, he might easily shake off the hunters. But now, he couldn't possibly abandon the cub and escape alone. Under Bart's encouragement, the cub finally climbed up. They stood at the mountaintop, gazing into the distance, observing the hunters' traces. They discovered the hunters had already reached the foot of the mountain. Bart didn't dare linger. He continued retreating with the cub. However, facing the steep rock wall before them, even Bart found it somewhat difficult, let alone the cub. Its physical disadvantage left it trapped in place, unable to advance. At this moment, the fierce hunting dogs were closing in. Watching the dogs get closer and closer, the cub cried out in fear. At this moment, Bart could have escaped alone, but he still returned without hesitation, signaling the cub to hide in a nearby cave. He himself blocked the cave entrance. More than 10 hunting dogs soon came before him. Bart had no choice but to fight. This is rare footage of a Tyrannosaurus rex laying eggs. A female Tyrannosaurus rex tensed her massive body, following nature's course. Like all reptiles, with rhythmic muscular contractions, a moist egg slowly dropped to the ground. This marked a crucial beginning in the continuation of the Tyrannosaurus rex bloodline. As one of the most iconic predators on Earth, the Tyrannosaurus rex was a symbol of primal power and dominance. But even the mightiest beasts cannot avoid the vulnerability of their young. Female Tyrannosaurus rex typically lay about a dozen eggs at a time, but fewer than a third successfully hatch. As the sun warmed the earth, the temperature gradually rose. The embryo slowly developed within the protective shell, eventually forming a baby Tyrannosaurus rex. Finally, a thin crack appeared on the eggshell, and a juvenile Tyrannosaurus rex broke out of its shell. The Tyrannosaurus rex mother lowered her massive head, carefully observing this new life, perhaps trying to memorize what her offspring looked like, establishing that crucial parent-child bond. But danger was never far away. When the Tyrannosaurus rex mother went out hunting, her vulnerable young became targets for predators. Suddenly, the sound of enormous wings echoed through the air. A pteranodon swooped down from above, with a wingspan exceeding 36 feet. Its powerful vision could easily detect movement hundreds of yards away. This aerial giant was now attracted to the hatching, wriggling hatchlings on the ground. This was a test of life and death. The remaining hatchlings screamed in fear, their cries piercing through the vegetation, reaching the ears of the Tyrannosaurus rex mother. The Tyrannosaurus rex mother was hunting nearby, not only possessing exceptionally keen hearing, but also an extremely sensitive sense of smell, able to quickly analyze scent molecules in the air. She noticed the scent of her young was rapidly dissipating. She let out a thunderous roar and immediately charged toward the nest. Hearing the approaching movement, the pteranodon immediately took flight, disappearing without a trace in an instant. Even for the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex, the process of growing up remained filled with danger.